Tonight in chilly St. Paul, Minnesota, the PWHL honeymoon continues for the Minnesota franchise. The Twin Cities' newest team off to a great start, 2-0 with history-making stories over the past week. Tonight, Minnesota looks to stay the league's only unbeaten as Toronto is in town to face the #1 draft pick Taylor Heise and company. All right, so Toronto in town, we're underway, and Toronto controls the opening draw. They're in the white sweaters with the light blue numerals tonight. And this is Comfer swinging it back in and brings it around the end boards to the near wing side as we're just underway here in the second game of the home schedule for Minnesota. Here's Frizova trying to get it for Minnesota, get it out of the zone. That's a long drive that is going to be snared by Hensley. Taylor Heise, of course, the #1 overall pick. Turned that top line essentially pretty quiet in that first period. A couple of scoring chances as the game went on, but I think Ken Klee is looking for that top line in particular to have a fast start tonight, and just Minnesota overall with offensive chances.
That's exactly the comment I was going to make. Minnesota as a team didn't have the fastest start in that first period. In fact, it was Zumwinkel's goal that got them going late in the first in the last matchup against Montreal.
This is going to slip out of the zone through center, back to the Toronto end. Allie Monroe, who led Syracuse to its first NCAA tournament a few years ago, gets the puck. Now Toronto pushes it in deep. Greco overskated it for Minnesota. On the stick of Britton Fleming momentarily. Fleming spent last year with the Whitecaps, so a seasoned pro after 5 years at Minnesota State. Liz Sheppers lugs it out to neutral ice. Now Minnesota comes in onside. Not quite 2 minutes into this hockey game. Campbell peering over her shoulder from the net. Minnesota trying to set up on the attack. Toronto gets it out to neutral ice.
Minnesota had been defending so much on that first couple of shifts, they had to get some fresh bodies on the ice, so she was in all alone, allowing Toronto to get the puck out cleanly.
Claire DeGeorge tried to feed the middle. That failed to materialize. Now here's Cabo with it on her backhand. Michaela Cabo will feed the point. Chopped at and went airborne momentarily. Toronto is able to push it out to neutral.
Good pressure in the high zone there by Toronto to force Minnesota out of the zone, not allowing them to get pucks in deep on that sequence.
There's LaRock. Got it ahead to center. Now on the stick of Renata Fast, and she is just that. Looking to create. Takes a bump, turns it over. Minnesota deep in their own zone. Trying to clear, tied up along the near wall. Minnesota 2-0, the only unbeaten team left in the first year of the PWHL. 3-2 over Boston last Wednesday, and Saturday, of course, the 3-0 shutout of Montreal in front of an epic crowd, over 13,300 people. Obviously a midweek game here tonight, not many, but an excellent crowd.
I love to see how many people have shown out for this Wednesday night game, and like I said earlier, I'm expecting a really good matchup in between these two powerful teams here.
Going to slide into the corner. This is Greco. Check that Kendall Coin-Scoffield. Schofield will get it off for Heise. Heise to the point. There's a drive by Stecklein. Lee Stecklein, the former Gopher and 3-time Olympian, tried to get it on net. Now Willoughby will gather it up and move it out for Toronto as Toronto will make a line change. Coming in here, this is Sarah Nurse, the former Wisconsin Badger, stapled up to the wall behind the net. And Minnesota's able to kick it back out to center. Callie Flanagan gets it back for Toronto and pushes it in. There's a good body check there by Jesse Comfer. I say check. And we are seeing a little bit of that here in the PWHL. The physicality is certainly something that these teams are getting used to, as the game is called a little bit differently from what they were used to in college and in the international game.
Absolutely, and I like the way that it changes the game. It allows you to kind of open up the playbook a little bit. You can bring out that physicality and do a little bit more with it. So I love what I've seen in the first week here in the PWHL.
Flanagan on defense for Toronto, the former BC Eagle. Won gold with Team USA in Pyeongchang. It's a very Canadian roster, but Comfer and Flanagan, two Americans as they come in. Here's a chance. Great pass on the trailer. And we're going to have our first penalty. It's going to come against Minnesota.
Well, it's a great job on the back check to break up that backdoor feed. That would have been a tap-in goal for Toronto had Minnesota not gotten back and broken that up. But I like what Toronto was trying to do, and at the end of the day, they drew a penalty. Steckline, who's taken a handful of penalties to start the season, heads to the box here again as we take another look at the play. And I like the pass. Puck just kind of fluttering, so it wasn't a clean shot she was looking at there, but good job by Minnesota to break it up. Unfortunately, now they're going to have to kill a penalty here.
On the penalty kill now, Minnesota 6 for 7 on the year. Killed 3 penalties in Boston, and all 3 of the penalties that they had against Montreal the other day. So here goes Toronto on the power play. 1 for 7 on the year. Malte beats it across one-timer. Larocque lurking on the doorstep, tried to whack it past Hensley on that blast from Flanagan. Now Flanagan back at center has to chisel it back in, and Minnesota's going to be able to buy some time on this kill as they'll get some fresh skates on the ice. 1 minute and 18 seconds to go in this power play.
Good job by Minnesota to fend off the pressure of that first power play unit by Toronto. They kept things to the perimeter and got the puck out when they needed to.
Turnbull takes it in. Shallow angle shot that got part of the net and spins off to the far wing side. Now here's Fast. She'll feed it across for Connors. Connors to the point. Driving Nurse. Trying to tip it past with Spooner. Again, right out in front. Boy, they do a good job getting bodies in front of the net.
They really do, and they caught a piece of that, and Hensley was forced to make a save there with the right pad. I like the setup and the initial shot by Turnbull, short side. Kind of a tricky shot there. Most players, a goaltender would expect them to go around the net with that, with the way she was coming in with her speed. Instead, she takes the short side shot, sets up the entire sequence for Toronto.
Spooner scored a power play goal in the win over New York last Friday, their only power play goal of the year. They've got about 20 seconds to go in this advantage, the first of the hockey game for either team. But they're going to have to regroup from deep in their own zone. Here's probably their last rush on this advantage. They're going to swing it in and chase. Off to the far corner. 7 seconds to go in the power play. Minnesota's got it. Here comes Cunnin. Back to center. Sophia Cunnin, the former Minnesota Whitecap, and that'll do it. Minnesota back to full strength.
Great penalty kill to get things started. Toronto, 4 shots registered on the night so far. Minnesota has fended them off early here. Now they got to try to get in the offensive zone and get some looks going for their side. And
Alexis, of those 4 shots, 3 just came on that power play. Some pretty good looks out in front of the net, but Hensley was equal to the task. Under 13 minutes to go in the period. There's a backhand sticked away by Hensley, who played her college hockey at Lindenwood. Now here comes Coin, kicked out of there by Campbell. Really the first real test for Campbell, and not much at that.
Yeah, and Coin still looking for her first goal on the season here. I liked what she was trying to do there, but Campbell sees it cleanly.
Out in front of Campbell, and now Toronto's able to skate it free and get it back to neutral ice. Back the other way, this is Kogan. Samantha Kogan out of Ottawa. She goes down in a heap behind the net. Flanked by 2 Minnesota players. Off to Vasco, great centering pass blocked out in front. That hit a skate.
Absolutely, Minnesota getting in the way of the shot there. Nice work to keep it away from Hensley.
And now Brooke Bryant with some speed will bring it back to center and dump it in. Coming up on the 8-minute mark of period number 1. Again, Minnesota getting outshot in the early minutes of the game. That's kind of been a theme here through the first 3 events.
Yeah, the first 10 or 15 minutes of that game against Montreal, they were on their heels, and it seems to be repeating itself here a bit tonight.
Long drive from Spooner, again blocked. Minnesota getting in the shooting lanes here early on. And Minnesota outshot in both games so far, 59-38 combined. And they're getting outshot 4-1 right now. He's going to drift back. Jocelyn Larocque, the number 2 overall pick in the draft, right behind Heise, and send it back to the Minnesota zone. From the checkered red line, Minnesota tries to advance it, and Zumwinkle was bumped off the puck with a nice little hip check. Swinging it across is Larocque. Nobody there on the far wing. Minnesota intercepts. There's a drive by Flaherty, and Campbell sees it come right into her mitt. Of course, Zumwinkle leading the league in points, goals, and game-winning goals. Had the game winner against Boston and the only goals on Saturday in that hat trick. Yeah, she's been smiling a lot lately.
I don't see why she wouldn't be.
And she should be. Now we got another penalty, so this will be penalty number 2 of the night.
Yeah, cross-checking is going to be the call here. The fans don't like it.
And well, that was right on cue. Zumwinkle is going to be the guilty party,
Minnesota,
I believe.
number 13, 2 minutes cross-checking.
Huh. Well, you speak her name and that happens.
I guess so, and the fans don't like it, so let's see what we think, taking another look at it here, and that is a clear cross-check, so.
No doubt. Toronto had 3 shots on goal on the first advantage. This is Fast at the point. Plays it back across for Nurse. Sarah Nurse, one of the most popular players in Canada in the sport. This is going to come back through center.
That was great pressure by Minnesota along the boards to force Toronto to kind of panic in that situation, and they get the puck out of the zone. Toronto now has to start over.
Blair Turnbull starts it in. Goes around the kick plate to the far wing side. Callie Flanagan settles it down. Now walking in, moving below the end line. Still with it. Flanagan for Turnbull. Now down into the circle for Connors. Connors goes across for Callie Flanagan again. And now nobody home on the near wing side, and that's an opportunity for Minnesota to clear it. Cunningham doing the honors, and Minnesota gets fresh killers on the ice. 50 seconds to go in the advantage for Toronto.
Well, Coach Kencley's got to be pleased with his penalty killers right now. Through almost 2 penalty kills, Minnesota's done a great job keeping things to the perimeter as much as they can and getting pucks out when they have to.
There's Susanna Tapani chasing after Malte. Tapani's got a really long reach, Alexis, and you know, no surprise, she's one of their better penalty killers.
Well, and you like her in deep there on the forecheck, trying to waste some time on that side of the ice, not allowing Toronto as much time on the power play in the offensive end.
Under 15 seconds to go in the advantage. This one skips on a cross-angle dump into the near corner. And again, Minnesota quick to jump on it at stick line, hoisting it out, and that's just about going to do it for the Toronto power play.
I always like to say hockey games are won and lost along the boards, and right now Minnesota is winning the battle on the boards, really making it tough on Toronto on the perimeter.
Just one shot on that power play for Toronto, as Willoughby is tied up in the corner by Minnesota. Keeping it alive, though, is Allie Monroe, 9th round pick for the Toronto franchise. 8.5 to go in the period, still no score. Digging it out here is Kogan. Beats it up top. Long drive, Knowles bounces in. I think that got the pad of Hensley. Centering pass, nobody in front for Toronto, and it's intercepted and moved out. And Coin had it poked off her stick at the last moment. Now Steckline frees the puck for Flaherty. They clear it to the far wing side, but not out. Held in by Toronto. Under 8 minutes to play in the period. And now here comes Minnesota with some speed. Heise. Nice pass. Oh, and it goes just past the right post for Krzyzova.
Did the shot fake, went for the pass. A great look by Minnesota there.
And now Leslie starts it back for Toronto and carries it in deep. Left it behind her.
Shot fake by Heise in the slot is so dangerous because the goaltender's going to think you're going to shoot that 100% of the time. So if you can connect on the pass, that's a great look.
Now Sheppers with some room. Kick save again by Kristen Campbell, the native of Brandon, Manitoba. Boy, Campbell has had a great career in her own right. Was their #3 goaltender at the Beijing Olympics for Team Canada. Played a couple of years in North Dakota before a stellar career at Wisconsin. Hasn't been tested a lot so far, but looks sharp here early.
Well, and once she did start to get tested more tonight, she'll be ready for it. She's faced 59 shots coming into tonight's game, which is the most of any goaltender in the league so far.
Off the draw. 5 players scrum for it. Toronto trying to get control. It's poked to the near wing side, and Minnesota holds the zone. They'll flip it into the corner, trying to turn it toward the middle. But that's mucked up by the Toronto defense, and it slides past the blue line. Minnesota has to group. Back out at center with 6.5 to go. Thrown on, Campbell, kick save, bouncing puck. Trying to clear it, Hannah Miller got it to the blue line, not out. Again, centering pass to George there for Minnesota, but couldn't turn and fire it on net. And this is going to drift in on Hensley. Now Channel with her head up. Had it intercepted at neutral, and it's dumped quickly back in by Toronto with just over 6 minutes to go.
Was looking for the cross-ice pass, and the lane wasn't really there. Toronto jumps on it and now has offensive pressure because of it.
Fast, long drive, and Hensley covers up. Had to scramble, but is able to keep that one out off the stick of Renata Fast.
Coming off a huge game in Boston, a big save there. Standing by now with Coach Ryan for Toronto. And Coach, your team off to a fast start here tonight. A couple power plays. What have you liked so far out of your team here in Minnesota?
I like the start. I like the aggressive forecheck we've been able to establish and play physical down low. But we got to have a better shot mentality on the power play. Get some pucks to the net with traffic. We just got to be better in that area.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, Toronto 0 for 2 on the power play so far. They've had opportunities, just nothing to show for it so far. But got to believe this Toronto team, Alexis, is happy to be playing somebody not named New York.
Yeah, first 2 games of the season, a home and home against New York. They get shut out in game 1, come away with a big win in game 2, and now getting a look here at this Minnesota team who's undefeated on the season.
Boy, Renata Fast having a hard time getting pucks to the net because players keep standing in the way of her shots. Minnesota has blocked a ton of shots here so far as Malte gets driven off the puck. And now it slides back into her skates. And Minnesota trying to dig it free. LaRocque is there as well for Toronto. Finally squirts loose for Renata Fast and then slides right out in front of the Toronto net. Malte is going to lose the puck to Panic. She tried to send it in on a clearing attempt, but goes up out of play. Here's Cunnin trying to beat it across for Shepers. It was broken up by Vasco, and now Toronto punches it in. Under 5 minutes to play in the opening frame. Fleming gets it ahead at center, and just out of the reach of Cunnin. Driven back by Monroe. Here's Fleming, Britton Fleming. Doing a little keep away routine there. Got it to Cunnin. Just out of her reach. Lost it at neutral ice. And now Flaherty will drive it in. Maggie Flaherty had 5 great years at the University of Minnesota Duluth. I know she was very proud of her former UMD teammate Maddie Rooney the other day. Rooney not getting the start in net tonight for Minnesota. Instead, it's Nicole Hensley. But one thing about Minnesota, Alexis, they have been getting outstanding goaltending. I just don't know that Ken Klee can make a bad choice with who he picks to start a game these days.
It's the best problem a coach can have is trying to decide which of my best goaltenders should I put in between the pipes. We've seen Hensley and Rooney now in between the pipes. Of course, the shutout by Rooney. Hensley kept Minnesota in it late in that Boston game and is keeping them in it here tonight so far. I mean, not a bad problem to have. Here's
a one-timer. And Turnbull right out in front, couldn't settle it down. Grozova trying to start it back, hands off for Coin. Coin-Scoffield gets it back to the Toronto line. A good stretch pass. Confer puts it in the middle. Back for Renata Fast. Held to the outside by Grozova. Fast still with it, looking to center. Pulls up on the half wall, falls down. Lost an edge on the outside. And a possible Toronto scoring chance is neutralized. Here's Spooner. She'll swing it out in front of Hensley. It drifts to the near wing corner. Bounces back out to center, and Toronto's going to be offside with 2:54.
There's a look at Hensley rocking the black and purple pads to match the Minnesota unis.
By the way, we're going to be talking with Lee Steckline, the 30-year-old former Gopher, 3-time Olympian, on that top defensive pair with Maggie Flaherty. We'll talk with her at the intermission. That's a little over 2 minutes away. At center, Coin-Scoffield through the logo, had it picked off there. Kogan couldn't advance it. Got as far as the blue line, that's it. Now here's Heise with speed. Cuts in, shoots and scores! Taylor Heise. Second goal of the year, and it's 1-0 Minnesota.
And that, folks, is why she was the #1 overall draft pick in the PWHL. Take another look at this play. Picks it up here at the red line, carries it down the left wing, makes a little move here, cuts to the net, splits the defenders, and puts it behind the pads of Kristen Campbell. Wow, that's going to be a highlight reel goal.
She had the first goal in franchise history, and big smile as she gets goal number 2.
This is just such a nifty play by Heise, and this is what they're hoping to see from her all season long play. So a huge goal here for Minnesota.
So for Steckline, her second assist of the year.
Again, a highlight reel goal to get the scoring started here tonight.
Fast, dumps it right out in front, backhand chance for Connors, and Hensley's able to keep it out.
Minnesota has been great on clearing out some of these rebounds right in the crease there. Another situation where had Minnesota not gotten a stick on that, that might have been a tap-in goal for Toronto on the back door.
Nicole Hensley, as you talked about, Alexis, she's seen most of those shots come on the power play. That's an even strength chance. And now coming in is Spooner again. And she's pushed nicely to the outside by Melissa Channel, the former Wisconsin Badger. And now Panic looking to clear the zone. Toppany got it to the line, not out. And now here's Toppany. Takes a hard hit up against the wall. Puck springs to the near wing side, held in by Minnesota. Long shot, hits Knowles with 15 seconds to go in the period. 1-0 Minnesota. Knowles will dump it in and head for the bench. And Minnesota trying to hold on to the lead. A late chance there. And the horn sounds before Flanagan can get another drive off. You mentioned it, Alexis. I think the penalty kill for Minnesota is the hero of that first 20 minutes.
Well, if you could get a good penalty kill, you need to find a way to use that momentum in your favor. And Minnesota has done just that in the first period here. They ultimately get the goal from Taylor Heise on the top line to get the scoring started. I did like the response from Toronto late, though, pushing for the tying goal at the end of the first period here, but not able to do it. So Minnesota skating away with a 1-0 lead into the first intermission. Standing by now with Lee Steckline, a defender here on Team Minnesota. And Lee, how have you liked Minnesota's play overall in this first week of the season, picking up 2 wins, the only undefeated team so far? What have you loved about this team's play?
You know, I do love that we found a way to win. They've not necessarily been our prettiest of games so far. We know we have a lot to work on, but finding a way to win is a huge skill. So I'm happy we're working on that and looking to pick it up a little bit more this game.
Here in tonight's game, Toronto had some push early. They had a couple power plays, but you guys did a great job keeping them to the perimeter, killing off those penalties, and ultimately getting the goal to get the scoring started late. What have you liked about your play here tonight so far against Toronto?
Like you said, the resiliency, being able to handle that pressure and then find our opportunities. A great goal by Taylor, and that's what we need to hopefully get momentum going in our favor.
If there's one thing you're looking for Team Minnesota to change heading into the second period, what would it be?
I would say keep moving our feet and get lots of shots on net.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lee. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Top defensive pair, Steckline and Flaherty for Minnesota. Turnbull centering Nurse and Comfer. That's the top line for Toronto. Also out there to start the period, and LaRocque and Fast on the blue line. LaRocque shot go past her stick. Minnesota's got it. This is Kruzova. Pushed to the outside by Jocelyn LaRocque. A couple of national titles at Minnesota Duluth. A couple of gold medals. I mean, that was a great draft choice, too, by Toronto. He's a native of St. Anne, Manitoba. Taken in that September draft right behind Heise. And here is Taylor Heise. Dropped it back, nobody trailing on the play, so turned over to Toronto, and here's LaRocque again.
Well, somebody was trailing. She was heading to the bench, and Heise didn't realize it, left the puck home for nobody.
Centered right out in front, trying to settle it down. Malte right in the blue paint. And Minnesota's able to get it away from danger.
And Hensley, just a great recovery. She was out for the count, so what does she do? She sprawls out as much as she can to fill up that lower half of the net and makes the save.
Malte setting up a player out in front, and it was Spooner who had the franchise's first goal the other day. Almost had one there to knot us up at 1. Man, Malte has been fantastic here tonight.
Got the big goal the other night to give Toronto their first win of the season, and another great look there.
Channel's gonna float it in for Minnesota and get off the ice. Minute and a half into the second period, 1-0 Minnesota, trying to stay unbeaten. 2-0 in franchise history. Long drive, and Campbell able to glove it.
And moments ago, it was Toronto who got a good look on net. Great centering feed in the crease there. Hensley was there and is able to keep it out of the back of the net. But what a great heads-up play by Malte. Gets it past the outstretched skates of the sprawling defender for the good look out front.
Heavy carom off the end boards. Nobody there for Minnesota to put a shot on net. Now Toronto comes back with Howard. She'll feather a pass to Miller right to the middle, and it's poked away from her. Emma Malte had a great career at Ohio State, helped the Buckeyes get their program's first national championship. That's the kind of player you can build a franchise around. That's why she was taken 11th overall. Now to the point, this is Fleming for Minnesota, still holding. Hands off for Cunnin. Cunnin now back for Fleming. Fleming feeds the right point. Flaherty, wrist shot, wide of the left post. And taken away by Rebecca Leslie. The former BU captain will clear it down, and that will be an icing call. Here's LaRock moving in from the circle. Centers back. Here's a drive. Knocked down, and then it gets in on Hensley and gives up no rebound.
We take another look at this opportunity here. Great feed all alone in the high slot. Ripped the shot. Minnesota gets another block shot added to their stats for the night. But the second shot does come through, and Hensley was ready for it.
Yeah, Blair Turnbull was turned aside there. The 30-year-old veteran, longtime member of Team Canada. There's Toronto, can't get the equalizer. Now a chance, and they score. Right out in front. Wrist shot goes in. And that is Sarah Nurse tying this one up at 1.
The release on that shot was incredible. By the time I realized she had the puck on her stick, it was already in the back of the net. Take another look at this play in the corner. Minnesota can't get it out. They've got it on their stick in the corner. Toronto forces the turnover all alone in the slot. She wastes no time putting that puck in the back of the net. And Toronto has tied this game now at 1 apiece.
Sarah Nurse, who native of Hamilton, Ontario, talked about how popular she is in the country of Canada. And that's her first PWHL goal. And now going in, another chance right out in front there. Turnbull again denied by Hensley.
Hensley standing tall there as they're hacking away at the rebound. She doesn't let a second one past her here.
Brzova feeds it across. Coin, long drive. And a blocker saved by Kristen Campbell. Now here comes Toronto back again. Nurse, a long shot. Steered away by Hensley. Sarah Nurse, 29 years old. The assist going to Allie Monroe.
It'll be interesting to see what Minnesota does here now, trailing for the first time on home ice. See what kind of response they have here against Toronto. I beg your pardon, tied for the first time on home ice. See what kind of response they have here.
Now, Toronto got down early in both of their games with New York, came back to win the second one, got down early tonight. But early here in the second period, they've knotted it up as Fast goes back to get it. Here's Connors now on the near wing side. Maggie Connors, youngest player taken in the draft, turned over. Oh, stoning! Minnesota's Kristen Campbell with that right pad kicked it out of there at the last moment to deny Cunnin.
I don't know how Campbell was able to follow that the whole way through. She was dancing and dangling all the way through the crease area, and Campbell stuck with it, kept her right pad stuck to the post, and denied Minnesota the go-ahead goal.
Cunnin nearly had her second goal of the year. Almost put Minnesota back in front. Now Flaherty from behind the Minnesota net. Starts it out on the right wing for Claire Budarak, former Minnesota State captain. Here's Steckline, who we talked to at intermission. Bouncing puck. Willoughby moves it along for Toronto. Miller tried to get it off for Flanagan, and now almost a breakaway for Minnesota, but it fails to materialize.
Pass was just a touch too far out of her reach there.
Now Howard. Flanagan backhand right out in front, and Hensley makes no mistake. It's great to see a professional league, Alexis, finally where the best in the world can come together and compete on a great night like this at St. Paul.
Well, and I think this first week in the league showed that, seeing who stood out, how the different star players have started to develop through just 1 week of play. It's going to be so much fun to see how this season unfolds here in the first year of the PWHL.
And two of the best young players for either of these franchises have the goals tonight. Taylor Heise for Minnesota, Sarah Nurse for Toronto. Here's a drive from Flaherty right on, and Campbell saw it the whole way. And Campbell can be a tough goaltender to figure out. I mean, we have seen her stand on her head at times during her career. At 2019 Frozen Four, she was in net for Wisconsin. Throughout the entire Frozen Four, didn't allow a goal and led the Badgers to a national championship. When she gets hot, I mean, she can completely put an offense in the freezer.
Yeah, she faced 31 shots in the last game against New York, was named the #1 star of the game in that matchup.
Wrist shot kicked away by Hensley. That was a shot from Renata Fast at the point. Fast has had many long drives that have found their way toward the net. Many have not got on because of blocks.
And based on the way Hensley reacted to that, I don't think she saw it until the last second, but she was in the exact right position to make the save and kicked it out to keep it out of the back of the net.
Abby Cook on the ice now for Minnesota. She'll shovel it in deep. Zumwinkle tried to advance it. She's knocked off the puck. Now Fast tries to chase it down for Toronto. Played to the Toronto line. It's going to get in the zone. LaRocque will whip it around to the near wing side and back out to center. Under 12 minutes to go, second period, closing in on the midway point of this game, and we're tied at 1. Second home game for the Minnesota franchise, trying to stay unbeaten as Campbell will hold on to get the whistle. Turnover, guess who? Zumwinkle going right in, and Campbell stands her ground.
Looking for goal number 5 on the season. Denied there on that sequence.
Zumwinkle leading everybody with 4 goals on the year, almost lit the lamp again. Boy, Campbell is really settling in. You can see her confidence building in every stop she makes as this one comes back to the Minnesota blue line. Now a battle for it against the wall here. Willoughby gets it for Toronto.
And Campbell probably sitting a little bit more comfortably in between the pipes after Toronto got that tying goal. Always makes the goaltender feel better to see the team in front of you producing. Now with the 1-1 game, Campbell a little injection of energy.
Campbell, the second goalie taken in the draft, 14th overall. She's going to be tested again, and this time by Cunnin. But Campbell is able to flick it away.
Great work by Minnesota to get in all alone. Cunning's had a couple good looks in this game here. Seems like she's knocking on the door of a goal in tonight's matchup.
Now Howard doing some good stick work. Drops it off, and this one's ramped up off a stick.
2 good looks as of late by PWHL Minnesota. Great work at the blue line to keep this puck in play. And a good shot there taken by Zumwinkle. The reverse angle here. Kind of just ran out of room to make the play she wanted, but still got the shot in on net. And then moments ago, Cunnin flicks in a wrister there, and Campbell makes the save again. Cunnin's had 2 good looks so far tonight. Not yet able to find the back of the net, but she's had some good ones.
Cunnin almost scoring on her former Badger teammate. Teammates for that 2019 title. Under head coach Mark Johnson. As this one's going to bounce in deep into the Toronto end. Boy, what a job Mark Johnson has done with that Wisconsin program. 7 national titles in Madison. And now Blair Turnbull will send it around. Chip back. Flanagan races for it. Bryant gets there first for Minnesota. Bryant sends it back. Now to the blue line. Here's Bryant again, tried to feed it back. Greco lost her edge. And getting back there is Abby Cook for Minnesota.
Minnesota was trying to force that play high in the zone. They should have taken it down back behind the net instead. They tried to force it at the blue line. Toronto able to get the puck out of the zone.
Right now, Minnesota looks like the team to beat. In fact, nobody's beat them yet. Cunnin wrapped up and lost the puck. Rougeau gets it back for Toronto. Toronto can't break out. There's the long reach of Steckline, keeping it in for Minnesota. And now here's Krzyzova. Denisa Krzyzova, 29 years old, also played her college hockey at Northeastern. And now top, no, this is Heise again. She scores! Taylor Heise. Second of the game, and Minnesota's back in front.
That was nasty. In a phone booth, Taylor Heise makes it 2-1. Clay, we're already on hat trick watch again. We had one in the first game here at the XL Energy Center. Wow. I mean, come on. Is she kidding me with that right now? And Taylor Heise putting on a shooting clinic here for Team Minnesota. Puts her team back in the lead. Wow, some goals just leave you speechless, Clay, and that's one of them. She's going to have a whole highlight reel just from today's game alone with the way she's playing.
Give Liz Shepers the only assist on that goal by Heise. Their long drive, side of the net. Zumwinkel tried to turn it on. And Toronto takes it back. Here comes Spooner through center. She'll pull up on the far wing, looking for help. Tried to feed Connors. It bounces in behind the cage. And now Minnesota takes over. As Channel gets it back with exactly 8 minutes to go in the second period. Past the 12-minute mark, and Minnesota's gone back in front 2-1.
Minnesota's had a couple looks in all alone on Campbell in this period. Toronto's let Minnesota sneak behind them a few times. Whatever game plan Minnesota has drawn up here is starting to work in this second period. I really like what they've done to force some offensive opportunities.
This is kind of what we saw happen on Saturday to a certain extent. And again, the defense, especially at center ice, has tightened up for Minnesota. It's really getting harder for Toronto to find movement up the middle. Here's Willoughby now for Toronto. She's bottled up. Fast will send it around for Larocque. And now the veteran will bang it off the boards. Fast gets it to the line. Loose there. And now Minnesota takes back over with 7 minutes to go in the second. Fast is trailed there by Budarak. And now a race for the puck. Kogan couldn't get there. It's paddled away by Hensley. He's playing with a 1-goal lead. Turned out in front of her and right on. Hensley saw it off the stick of Leslie, and we get a stoppage.
I'm standing by now with Coach Klee and Coach Taylor Heise putting on a clinic here tonight. What have you liked out of her game?
Yeah, I mean, I really like what she's doing away from the puck, to be honest with you. It's, you know, her reloading, getting back on top, that allows her to have offense. Like, she makes a great play on the first goal in our own zone. Patience, they back, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, she's going. Same thing on the second goal. I mean, she reloads, she's in a good spot. We turn it back, we're trying to play north, and all of a sudden, one bounce, and she's off and going. So I'm really, really happy with the way she is away from the puck.
Thanks so much, Coach. Good luck the rest of the way.
You bet.
2-1 Minnesota, 6:40 to go, second period. Ken Klee, hired a couple of weeks ago after the resignation of Charlie Berggraf, who stepped away for personal reasons. I didn't know this. I read it in the paper. He was supposed to be in Costa Rica right now with his family. He had no plans on coaching in the PWHL, but then Annalie Darwitz called him up and said, "Hey, Coach, I need you to come to St. Paul." He loaded his truck, and here he is, and he's having a blast.
I mean, I've heard January in Minnesota is lovely.
Krzyzova with a wicked wrist shot, and Campbell got a piece of it to send it up off the glass, and now that one ends up in the protective mesh. Won't pass the midway point of this game. 2-1 Minnesota. Right out in front. There was a drive, and Campbell is able to see again. That was Toppany, the Finnish Olympian. Such a great international star. A point-blank shot, looking for her first goal of the year.
And that's why face-off wins are so important. Minnesota wins that offensive face-off draw, draws up a play, gets a shot in on net quickly, forcing Campbell to make a save there on that sequence.
Susanna Toppany. That last chance moments ago.
Another look at it here. Panic on the faceoff. Minnesota fights for the puck and just puts the shot right in on net. Those are tough for goaltenders to read because typically a play takes a little longer to develop off the faceoff. But there, Minnesota makes it happen quickly, getting the shot in on Campbell. Campbell's played great here tonight despite her team trailing by a goal here in the second period. But Minnesota's Taylor Heise has just been tremendous here tonight for this top line, putting 2 pucks into the back of the net behind Campbell.
Campbell was the #1 star in the franchise's first win against New York. Had 29 saves in that 3-2 victory. She's going to have to continue to be good as Minnesota's finding more offensive momentum. You can see they're keeping Toronto bottled up here on the forecheck. Thrown out in the slot. Nobody there for Minnesota. Toronto trying to clear it, and they finally do. It's Comfer leading the way. Drops it back. Turnbull driving toward the net. That's what she does. Turnbull a power forward, and it drifts in on Hensley. Now they're getting grouchy out in front of the net.
Well, moments ago, back on this side of the ice, there was a little pushing and shoving that kind of drew the attention of the crowd. It ups the ante here on this sequence.
Couple of roughing minors just moments ago. It's Taylor Heise and Sarah Nurse, coincidentally the 2 players who've done all the scoring, but they're going to be off the ice for the next couple of minutes here for the roughing penalty out in front of Hensley.
Well, here's the play that got everybody's emotions fired up here, and you can see Heise pushing there. Nurse is in there on the edge of your screen, and this is the second scrum like this that's developed in the last couple of minutes. This one, though, a little more intense, drew the attention of the officials to send a couple players to the box. 2 of the best players on the ice now are going to sit for a couple minutes in the penalty box.
So we go 4-on-4 here. Who do you think this is advantageous to? Who has more speed on their roster?
I think this is advantageous to Minnesota. Although if you are Toronto, who's had trouble getting shots through to the net, like they have so far because Minnesota's blocked so many shots, you now have a little bit more space to work with. But speed factor definitely in favor of Minnesota, I'd say.
All right, under 5 minutes to go in the period, 1:40 to go in these matching penalties. Shallow angle shot there, LaRock, that glances off to the far side. Now here's LaRock again. Emma Malte, what a shorthanded goal in their last game. Has it on her backhand, takes it to the point. Now she'll regroup back out at center. Gives it off for Renata Fast. Fast tried to get it to Spooner. Spooner overskated it. Now regroups and steps in. Spooner bangs it off the end boards. Coming up on a minute to go in the matching minors. Loose puck in the corner. And it'll be Kelly Panic to get control for Minnesota, and they get it out of the zone. Well, right now it's Toronto, carrying the play here on this 4-on-4. There's Miller with a long drive, didn't get to the target.
And they're taking their time as well. They're being methodical with what they want to do, but here comes Minnesota the other way.
And it's Toppany. She'll send it on, and Campbell, make no mistake. Off the draw, controlled by Minnesota. Bookbinder sends a hard wrister right into the belly of Campbell.
I don't mind when a team takes their time to get a play set up. Sometimes that is the better option play, but these quick looks off the faceoff can be tough for a goaltender to read. There she got a really clean look at it. There was nobody in the shooting lane, but I like what Minnesota's been doing as of late with these opportunities.
All right, now Minnesota holding on to a 1-goal lead. As we'll get another whistle and another penalty, and somebody's going to have a player advantage here for 22 seconds.
Minnesota will get the extra skater on the ice as Toronto heading to the box for the hooking call. Comfer's going to take a seat next to Nurse there.
Minor penalty.
So it'll be 4-on-3 for 23 seconds. And then 5-on-4. Here's another look at it. Channel. Great work moving her skates, and that's what happens. When you're moving your feet, you're going to be more likely to drop penalties. And Channel makes it tough there, forcing Comfort to get the stick in on the arms.
Not had a power play goal yet this season.
The bad news for Minnesota is Toronto is perfect on the penalty kill so far, so unevenly matched here as far as this special team opportunity goes.
For 10 seconds, a player advantage, 4-on-3 for Minnesota. Coming in, sent to the middle. Panic overskated it a bit, now tied up out in front. Cunning will get there, but now They lose that advantage. As Nurse is back out, and so is Heise. Now it's 5-on-4, pardon me. Here's Heise, long drive. That hit a skate out in front, and now it's between the pads of Campbell. Power play, Minnesota. Drive, knocked down Campbell, steered to the far corner. Just over a minute to go in the advantage. Bookbinder races to the wall and gets there to keep it in the zone. Here's Bookbinder, high in the slot, wrist shot, blocked by Spooner. Kept alive by Topping. Bookbinder feeds it off for Heise, Heise for Bookbinder. 50 seconds to go in the power play for Minnesota. Now Coin-Scoffield comes over, gets her tape on it. Back for Topping, Bookbinder again. And now Heise with some room, moves in, top of the circle, sent one on, but Rougeau is able to kick that away. Toronto trying to desperately get it out, can't. Now Heise again, moving in. A great scramble there by the Toronto defender, Monroe, to knock it away. Now Topping again, right out in front, Sheppers off the side of the cage. Wraparound attempt by Topping with 10 seconds to go. Heise, still dangerous, Bookbinder, drive, save, rebound, and it's kicked wide. And that's going to do it. Toronto back to full strength. What a kill for Toronto. They were down for well over 2 minutes and able to kill that long disadvantage. 1:10 to go in the period. Loose puck, side of the net. Oh, another save by Hensley as Nurse was lurking again.
Saves on both ends of the ice here by both Campbell and Hensley to make this still just a 2-1 game. Hard to believe that Minnesota power play doesn't have a goal yet after seeing how they worked that puck on the cycle. Campbell making a great save in the waning seconds of the power play.
Nurse feeds Turnbull, backhand right on, and Hensley makes another stop. And now Hensley wants a breather here. She'll dive out, and now it's getting ugly again. Vasco got thrown to the ice by Flaherty. We'll see what happens here as far as potential penalties, if any.
We've seen the emotions rising here in this second period with just 37.9 to go. Hensley making the smart play there, diving on that bouncing puck to get the whistle. And then tensions flare back behind the net afterward. Let them say what they need to say and then get back to the face-off dot.
Toronto wins the draw with over a half minute to go in the period. Deflected out in front of Hensley. But Minnesota swoops in to take the puck away. Toronto holds the zone on the right point with Renata Fast. Fast looking to center it, and it's deflected up out of play with 20.2 to go in the period. You know, this league happened so fast. 6 months ago, it didn't exist. So a lot of big decisions have been made in a short amount of time.
It has been incredible. The hours, the time, the effort that's been put in behind the scenes to get this league to the ice here this week. And I know we've said it a million times, but I'm going to keep saying it, how tremendous this first week has been. I cannot wait for the remainder of the season to pan out here as we hit our second intermission.
The bench poked in by Toronto. It's spit right back out by the team in purple. A lot of purple in attendance here tonight. We talked about the merchandise earlier in the game, and obviously that's starting to fly off the shelf. And this is going to drip back down. This is Malte getting to it for Toronto, but she hasn't taken off her stick. Shepard's there for Minnesota. Spooner took a whack at it, goes in behind the Minnesota net. Bookbinder plays it to the near corner, and here comes Minnesota out of their own zone. Looking to pick up some speed is Zumwinkle. Feeds it ahead at center. And Bookbinder couldn't get there as she was ridden off the play. Panic will whack it to the far wing side. Toppany keeps it alive. Off for Bookbinder, back for Toppany. Toppany below the end line. Centering pass one time right on. And kicked out of there by Campbell.
Great look by Minnesota trying to work out from back behind the net. Those are tough plays for the goaltender to read. Minnesota getting a quick look on that sequence, trying to add to their lead here. They've only led by as much as 1 goal on 2 separate occasions in this game. Would love to get a little bit of insurance with a second goal here to start the 3rd period.
Kelly Panic with a chance moments ago for Minnesota. Looking for her first goal in her PWHL career. And we're going to get this play whistled down offside with 18:11 to go in the hockey game.
Well, Kelly Panic, a big name on this Minnesota roster with a good look moments ago, trying to make it 3-1, winding up there from low in the circle. As I always say, Clay, no one's ever skating comfortably with a 1-goal lead, so Minnesota would love to add another one. Panic comes close, but Campbell, who's been tremendous all night, makes another save there.
Alexis, you talked to Kelly earlier in the game, the former Gopher All-American. That's the one nice thing about the way the PWHL has been set up, too. They've done a really good job keeping as many local stars near home where the fans recognize the names as possible. At center here, Howard comes in. Oh, what a shot! Right on! Beautifully timed. Leslie denied, though, as Hensley had her antenna up. Face off to the left of Hensley. Comes to the stick of Callie Flanagan. And now Minnesota breaks out. 17.5 to play. Coin threw it right through the slot. Nobody home for Minnesota. Kendall Coin-Scoffield again tried to feed it back to a teammate. Nobody there. And now Willoughby will drag it back and dump it in for Toronto. Out of her net is Hensley. Got a little bit spun around, and that's always dangerous, but she was able to stay in control.
And of course, you see the trapezoid behind the net here because they're playing in an NHL rink, but no trapezoid rules apply in the Professional Women's Hockey League, so a little bit more movement for the goaltenders to work with.
And now Comper ahead of everybody. Comper, long drive right around Steckline. Steckline pushed her nicely enough to the outside, but now both players behind the net down, and one is Panic. Trying to see who it is for Team Toronto. That's Nurse, and you know, she's been down on the ice, and it's been physical around the net with Nurse involved a couple of times tonight.
Yeah, and Panic looked like she was okay once she went down. Nurse, though, seemed in a bit of discomfort and seems to be favoring that left arm a little bit as she skates off the ice. We'll take another look at this. Comfer sends this shot in, and Hensley sticks it back behind the net. Just kind of an unfortunate play. Panic and Nurse got tangled up, taking each other down. Kind of on accident there. Panic was down on her knees, and Nurse just was kind of on top of her, hit that end wall really hard, so hoping she's okay. She's got the only goal in the game for Toronto, and obviously a big piece of this Toronto team.
3:43 the time of that goal for Nurse back in the early stages of the 2nd period. And you're right, Toronto can ill afford to lose her. She's such a star player. Here comes Toronto, back with Emma Malte, a star in her own right. Shot right back by Minnesota. Fast will bang it off the end boards. Here comes Toronto again. Malte tried to get it around Panic. And Malte again. Malte weaving through center, will slide it in. Line change Toronto. Shooting back here is Allie Monroe out of Nova Scotia. And she's going to set up and survey coming up on the 4-minute mark of the period.
And it seems through at least the early minutes here of this 3rd period, whatever tempers were happening in that 2nd period have not carried over so far. And I talked about it, at least for Minnesota, you want to keep those tempers low. You've got the lead, you want to play smart hockey here, continue to do what you've been doing well, and try to keep Toronto off the scoreboard.
Here's Rebecca Leslie trying to muscle her way around Channel. Channel gets it off her stick and throws it over to the far corner, but taken back by Toronto. Here's Howard, winds up, big drive. Karam's off a body out in front. I think they got a piece of Channel.
And Hensley had no idea where that puck was. She had a body right in front of her face there. Lucky that one didn't find its way into the back of the net.
Brittany Howard has been one of the better offensive players tonight for Toronto, the former Robert Morris Colonial. Now here's Kava at the blue line for Minnesota, and she's able to help work it out. Back to the Toronto end. Puck goes airborne, now back on the stick of Howard. Turnbull will be the one to dump it in deep. Hensley wanted an icing, didn't get it.
Fans are starting the Minnesota chant. Moments ago, they were doing the wave. Granted, they were doing the wave before the game even started.
At neutral ice. Cunnin racing for it for Minnesota. Beats Flanagan there. Flanagan trying to get control. Got it off for Turnbull. Turnbull lugs it to the line, not out. Turned over to Minnesota, and they'll hold it in deep with under 14:20 to go now in the period. Minnesota leading 2-1.
Didn't really have many options there. Half the team was changing, so they just dump it in deep to try to keep it in the offensive zone rather than pull it out and start over.
This puck is going to roll back deep into the Minnesota zone. Bookbinder will start it out on the right wing. Karam's over to Vasco's stick. She lost it. Now here's Kendall Coin-Scoffield, the captain, from her knees. Strong to get it in. Now on the stick of Heise again. Heise throws it on, looking for the hat trick. Wouldn't that be something? 2 in a row here in St. Paul.
Plenty of time left in this one play.
Long drive. That got a pad from Kristen Campbell, and it comes to the near wing side. Now Coin again. Look out. Trying to feed it back for Channel is Heise, but it's intercepted. Minnesota able to keep it in the zone, though. And now finally Renata Fast will skate it back to center, and Toronto can come up for air. Fast will send it on. Hensley will leave it to a teammate with 13:10 to go.
Fast was in 1-on-4 there in the zone. Everybody behind her changing. Still got a great look in on Hensley, who continued to play the puck, keep this play moving.
Tipped by Tapani. Tried to feed it to Zumwinkle, who was cruising through the zone, but now Spooner coming back. Kick save. Hensley on that long drive. Chiseled ahead. Got it to the blue line, but electing to get a face-off here in the zone is Hensley, as Heise continues to buzz, Alexis.
Well, there's a hat trick here on Saturday. Heise trying to make it 2 hat tricks in 2 games for Minnesota.
She took the face-off against Sheppers. Sheppers won it. Sheppers has an assist tonight on the first Heise goal. Sheppers with a couple of points on the year. Played to the point. Abby Cook kept it in deep for Minnesota. Now back out at center. Notice the defensive pair is now Cook and Bookbinder. Thrown out in front. Knowles is there for Toronto. And she failed on the clearing attempt. Turned it over to Heise. Heise sent it wide. Oh, man. If you're going to turn it over, don't turn it over to her.
The last person on the ice, Campbell wants to see facing 1-on-1. Heise, another good look there.
She's got it again from the circle. Thrown on, score! Kendall Coin-Scoffield. And the captain has her first goal in the PWHL.
This was a great feed by Taylor Heise to find Kendall Coin-Scoffield. This top line has been paying dividends here tonight against Toronto. Heise cuts through the slot, gets down to the face-off dot, and just centers it down low. And Kendall Coin-Scoffield finds the back of the net. And this is what a good player does. You look at that replay there, everybody is watching Taylor Heise. Just over 11 minutes to go in the third. Minnesota's got that 2-goal lead that they've been looking for all period.
Assist to the 27, Taylor Heise. And number 23, Melissa Channel.
What a night for Heise. 3 points on the night. As she assists Coin on that goal. And obviously the first goal for Kendall. But think about where this league might not be if not for Kendall Coin-Scoffield.
I'll tell you what, I don't want to see a professional women's league without Kendall Coin-Scoffield on the ice. So super fun to see her be a part of this and to cash in here tonight on a huge goal for Minnesota nonetheless. Going to make this task a little bit harder for Toronto to come back.
Billie Jean King will tell you that it was Kendall's phone call to her several years ago, back in 2019, that really jump-started this whole process. And now, 5 years later, Kendall gets her first goal in this league that she was hoping would someday happen, and certainly it has, as Minnesota now has a 2-goal lead with under 10 to play in St. Paul.
And I saw some of Kendall's posts after the weekend just talking about how much this experience and this opportunity has meant to her. And I'm sure every player on the ice has got some kind of similar story about why this means so much to them. And it's been fun getting to learn more about some of these players and their path to the PWHL as we've gone along this week.
Cunnin will send it in behind the net. Sheppers is bumped off the puck by Monroe, and Toronto will clear it out. Under 9.5 to play. Still a lot of time on the clock. Toronto brings it in. That is Spooner. Off for LaRock. She'll send one on. Stopped by Hensley. And Fleming will get it out for Minnesota. You know, the crowd maybe feeling a little more comfortable right now that Minnesota's got a 2-goal lead, but Toronto's dangerous. There's a drive. Willoughby. Well, her eyes lit up when the puck came to her. About 5 feet out. 7.5 to go. Wrist shot. Cunnin. Neutralized by Vasco. Number 10 for Toronto did a great job there against Cunnin.
I have loved Cunnin's game here tonight. She has had some great looks. She loses her stick here, so she'll head to the bench for another one. But man, has she had some great scoring chances for Minnesota tonight.
Sophia Cunnin, a 10th round pick for Natalie Darwitz. Now drop back. There's a drive. Connor sent it wide of the right post. Still a lot of time. Toronto needs the next one, though. Now Liz Sheppers will shovel it out. This is going to come all the way back down, and an icing call against Minnesota. Now Blair Turnbull swings it around to the near wing side.
With an advantage here, you can see the push after the play, and the puck was well gone by that point. The official putting their hand in the air after that, sending Toronto to the box. And Minnesota could really put a dagger into Toronto here with a power play goal. Toronto just hanging around here, down 2 goals. If they give up a power play goal here, this game is going to feel a little bit more out of reach down the stretch.
Time 13:46.
Heise feeds the point. Here's Topping.
Minnesota now on the
Number 1 power play out there for Minnesota. Bookbinder sends it across. Coin in the middle. Bookbinder now the quarterback of this power play. Off for Heise. And that's out of the reach of Bookbinder. They have to regroup at center. Now with some room, Heise, just missed it. And now back the other way comes Toronto.
By the time this power play is over for Minnesota, there's only going to be about 4 minutes remaining, and at that point, Toronto's already going to start thinking about potentially pulling their goalie within the next minute or minute and a half after that. So time's going to start moving quickly here for Toronto.
We saw Corey Chevry, the head coach of Montreal, pulled the goaltender for an extra attacker with like 3.5 minutes left in that game the other day. It didn't bear any fruit, but it was obviously the gamble she was willing to take at the time.
And you know, I don't mind that. At that point, what do you have to lose, right? Get the goaltender on the bench, see if you can get something going. So I don't hate that. We'll see what Toronto decides to do here, if they can kill off this power play for Minnesota, see what they can work with just a few minutes remaining.
Blair Turnbull in the box for Toronto for roughing the Stellarton, Nova Scotia native, longtime member of Team Canada.
Toronto with the only shorthanded goal on the season as well to note, so maybe they're looking for another one here. Try to give themselves a little bit of extra time. Yeah,
the first jailbreak goal in PWHL history. That's unofficially what we're calling it.
I like that.
That jailbreak rule where you score shorthanded, it frees the player serving a minor. And we've seen a little more aggression on the penalty kill because of it.
Well, I think especially late in the game, that's a huge thing to be able to use to your advantage. If you can score a goal and get the player out of the box when you're down a couple, that could be a huge momentum shift.
Well, it's an effective kill for Toronto, but they're running out of time. Just over 4 minutes to go. We're back to 5-on-5. And Minnesota very happy to keep this locked up in the corner. Finally comes loose. Turnbull fresh out of the box. Will speed through center. Turnbull on a mission. Wrist shot goes up over the shoulder of Hensley.
Kogan was coming in down the left wing all alone. I don't know that they knew she was wide open. Would have had a great look on the back door had they gotten the puck to her.
Rolls ahead at center. Fleming will feed it on. Cunningham got it in deep for Minnesota. 3.5 to go. At center ice, Fleming again steps in on side. Tried to get it to the middle for Cunningham, who was knifing in. Broken up by Toronto. Toronto has to play with urgency now. Running out of time, down a deuce. Minnesota will dump and chase. Player goes down, no whistle. It was Heise. She kind of looked up at the official like, hey, where's the whistle? Didn't get it.
It's going to be tough to get a penalty called at this point in the game. Just under 3 minutes to go. It's going to have to be pretty egregious.
Maggie Flaherty. Head pass for Silva. Will guide it in. Fast gets there first for Toronto. Gives it off for Larocque. Larocque tried to hand it off, but it's going to sail back down into the Minnesota end.
And Campbell will, at the next chance, probably head to the bench here. Minnesota, though, with possession for now.
And it's Channel feeding the middle. Zumwinkle a drive. Kick save Campbell. Kristen Campbell, another save that she was able to dial in. Minnesota still getting scoring chances. 2:15 to go.
And that puck came so hot off the pad that Minnesota overskated it. They were coming in so fast. So no second look, but a good opportunity by Minnesota. Just wasting time in the offensive zone so that Toronto can't get their goaltender pulled.
We'll keep an eye here on Kristen Campbell.
Well, she's creeping out to the hash marks, and she'll go to the bench now.
Empty net for Toronto, extra attacker on. Copper lugs it in with 90 seconds to go in the hockey game.
Minnesota did get an empty net goal the other night against Montreal. Zumwinkle scored it for the hat trick. Minnesota looking for another one here with the puck tied up back behind the net.
Zumwinkle tried to get to that one too, but she's locked up. Battle along the wall. It comes free for Steckline's stick. Steckline shovels it to the near wing side. Another drive. That's going to be an icing. Toppany was looking for the empty net. 1 minute into the play. And again, it leaks just wide, and another icing call. Well, it's not for a lack of trying here. Minnesota very close to making this a 4-1 game. 25 seconds to play. What a start to this season for Minnesota. Trying to get control. They're going to get it out of the zone. And that's just about going to do it. Under 10 seconds to play here at the X. And the crowd very appreciative. Panic. Got it out. That's going to do it. Minnesota's 3-0. And Ken Clee very happy he took the job.
Well, he has helped coach this team now to 3 victories on the season, the only undefeated team on the season. And Minnesota, they've got to have a target on their back now. I mean, we're starting to see what each of these teams are about, and there you have it. 3-0 on the season.